While the recent dilution news does not look good for Mullen stock, it is worth remembering that this is still a very important quarter for the company. Hi again, Mullenites. It's been a week. Now, last time you heard from me, it was just before Lawrence Hodge went live and basically broke everyone's hearts with his news, obviously. And I had posted a video. I went to post a video to respond to that, and I found out that I actually had I'd been given a strike on YouTube for a video from 2 years ago, which was interesting because it kind of felt a little bit like Lawrence Hodge, how he kept talking about like how people were bringing up something that happened in his past, and he didn't want to be judged by that on his past. Basically, one of my videos got flagged for commentary, which was kind of inflammatory. I won't really go into it, but it was a bit unfair, but it happens. Anyway, that basically what it meant is I couldn't post for a week. So I had a bit of a video which was responding to the situation, which I couldn't post. It made me realize that I need to actually probably broaden my social media presence. So I actually started an Instagram, which literally no one follows. But I did post the video there if anyone was ever interested in seeing what I had to say following Lawrence Hodge's news. Anyway, enough of that. So this past week, sitting back and kind of watching Mullen and what's been happening, we haven't really had a whole lot of anything happening other than the news yesterday of dilution. So that wasn't totally surprising, like given where Mullen is with their their cash situation and the fact that they're gearing up for manufacturing next month, which is like a really important milestone for them. They are going to be needing some money, and Quistis Capital seems to have been the company that has supplied the lion's share, if not all of the capital for the new shares that have been sold. Now, obviously, this isn't good news for Mullen fans because it means a bit of dilution. However, it's also worth remembering that if you are in Mullen for the long term, this at least kind of helps shore up its long-term survival to an extent. So it's painful, but it's kind of, I suppose, necessary. Now, on that point that, we're supposed to start seeing manufacturing of some of the vans next month, I believe it is, that means that the company's going to actually start seeing proper revenue coming. Now, that is good news for Mullen. So even though there's a lot of pain, there is some good stuff on the horizon. Now, I'm not totally optimistic that everything's going to go to plan. Nothing ever seems to with this stock, but I think we are at least seeing brighter days ahead. And, while the whole Saudi Arabia deal really fizzled out last week, it hasn't actually really fizzled out. All it is that we're still kind of waiting to see if something is going to come from that in the future. Now, I will just speak really briefly on what I sort of had to say last week is, and I wasn't able to post it, was that Lawrence Hodge, that was a real, gut check when he sort of said that, like, well, he's still kind of negotiating his contract with, or his deal with Mullen Automotive. Everyone, and the fact that he'd built it up saying that there's big news on the way. That was kind of a real slap in the face. But the good news was that in other interviews he sort of did come out and say that there are actually multiple deals, and he kind of shed a little bit more light on it. So there's still that in the pipeline as well. So there are a couple of things to be optimistic about in the sense that, we are actually possibly going to start seeing some revenue coming in this quarter for the company. So the next quarterly earnings are going to be an interesting one to see if any of that actually registers. And we still have, whatever's going to come from this EMM technology deal. Hopefully it's all finalized and, Lawrence Hodge ends up delivering like he said he would. Now, anyway, in the meantime, what's worth talking a little bit about is where the stock is at right now. So obviously in the past 5 days since I last posted, the stock has declined by about 20%. And given yesterday's news which came in the aftermarket of, more shares had been sold, I think it was something almost like 20% of the outstanding float the float had been increased by about 20%. That's going to actually, probably push the stock down a little bit more as it did in the aftermarket yesterday. I don't know how significantly it's going to impact it, but I expect to see a few more cents shaved off the price. What this actually does, though, is it does distort, if you're still following like, the short starter and stuff behind stock, it does distort this a little bit because there's usually a little bit of a delay in these numbers getting through the system. So if you look at like most sources right now, like Fintel and Ortex and stuff, they're telling you that about 20% of the float is shorted. That figure will probably actually drop off a little bit now that there is going to be an update to the registered number of shares outstanding. So that would see a bit of a decline in the actual percentage of the float shorted. But, you know, it still also means that there's actually more stocks for, you know, shorts to take advantage of. And yeah, so they're going to still be going. And I think you'll probably see a bit of a negative revision of the borrow fee coming up with that too. So yeah, another thing to keep an eye on. Yeah, anyway, so I'm back. Anyway, good to talk to you guys all again. I hope you're all doing well. I know if you're holding Mullen, you probably aren't doing well unless you're like a short seller, but you know, you guys are usually pretty quiet on here anyway. Anyway, cool. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'm back. I'll try and keep up some more regular updates and be a little bit more informative. This is just kind of like a bit of a welcome back video, I suppose, and just talk a little bit about what's happening with Mullen, where I think things are going. I believe it's a positive quarter. Sorry, I believe it's an important quarter. But yeah. Anyway, share your thoughts on what you think has happened with Mullen for the past week. Love to get a bit of banter happening. You know, one of my favorite things is just seeing the comments and, you know, what you guys have to say. You guys are all pretty insightful, and you often give me actually quite good insights for the stock too. Like, I'm not a professional investor at all. You know, you guys are kind of my eyes and ears in many ways. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. May the markets trade in your favor. Cheers.